And we're back here once again with another episode of the Cloud9 podcast, season 17, episode 7. So I hope you guys had a great day, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week that is ahead of you. And in this episode of the Cloud9 podcast, I am going to be talking with Dot85, who also co-hosts the Scuttle Crab Draft League, and he also does a lot of other activities in the League of Legends community as well. And he also watches the LoL esports side of it as well. Primarily, you said you watch the LCS and the LEC, but you do catch the highlights of the LPL and the LCK.
Unfortunately, as I gotten older, it's harder and harder for me to stay up that late or wake up that early to watch the LPL and the LCK. But I'm try to keep myself informed for when internationals come around. And watch highlights. If there's a good game going on, I'll try to catch it. But just when I was younger, I'd stay up and watch it every single week.
Dude, I used to have that. So like the LCK would come on at 12 a.m. for me, and I would literally stay up for pretty much at least the first set. I would always pretty much stay up for. Now I can get through maybe a game. If the series goes really fast and I'm pushing it, I can do it like 1:30 a.m. my time. Unless the games are literally 20-minute blowouts or the max the first game, I gotta catch the highlights. I can't. Back in the day, I was there for both sets. I was like, how did I ever do this?
Oh man, I just remember it being like an all-day Saturday thing. On Friday, I'd watch LEC or Saturday, I watch LEC into LCS and then stay up the whole night playing League and then watch LCK and LPL in the morning. So, I get it, but it's just not in the cards anymore for me.
Not even close. Dude, I remember I would stay up and play League till 2:30 in the morning, then going to bed and getting up at 6 or 7 in the morning to go to work. It wasn't even that bad when you're younger, but no way. I can't do that anymore. My bedtime, literally, I don't even try to go to bed at the time. I go to bed at 12:30 max. Even on days off from work. It's days off from work, you're like, you know what? I can stay up a little bit later. It doesn't matter. I can't. My body just crashes out. 12:30, 1 o'clock, I am done. I am just on the floor. So, for anyone who has never heard of your name, doesn't know anything about you, what we're going to use this episode for, everyone, is like what I do with all the talking with episodes here on this podcast, is the introductory episode. So that way, if you never have heard of this person or ever seen them, then they can give you their origin story. So how did you come into ever playing League of Legends, actually?
So
who got you into it?
Yeah, I have a friend who got me into it. I played technically preseason, so before the game before season 1.
So that's early 2009.
Yeah. So, but I was in middle school, and I had a friend who was like, "Yo, there's this new game, it's League of Legends," and I played it for maybe 2 hours. I'm like, this sucks. I'm so bad at it. Let me go back to play Minecraft. So I went back and played Minecraft. Didn't play again until I got into college, actually.
Actually, same here. I hadn't played a game like this ever in my life because I was a console guy growing up.
Yep.
And then I didn't really know how keyboard would work like that. I played Math Blaster in school, some little kid games. When I played it, I got so frustrated. And I straight up thought to myself, you know what? I'm done with this. But for some reason, in my brain, I lost so badly, and I was so bad, I wanted to keep improving at it. Thank God I kept it, because I'm glad I'm able to keep up with playing League of Legends. I'm pretty sure you've never heard that someone saying they're thanking the heavens for playing League.
Yeah, I mean, it is cool. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that have come from playing League. I have people that I've met that only know me by my League name that I'm friends with, and now we don't even play League anymore. I still talk to them and have relationships that have built purely around playing a game like this. But the second introduction I had to League, I think, came from I was a really competitive and in high school Super Smash Bros. Player. So I used to go to tournaments.
Melee or Brawl?
I played Melee.
You got a wave dash? Dude, I could never figure out how to wave dash. That shit was hard as fuck, man.
I'll teach you, man. It's not that hard. I got you.
I'm old, man. My wrists don't work like they used to.
Okay, my hands are cooked now. Falco.
Oh my God, you were just like Mango.
Yeah, so that's my introduction. So that's how I actually got into League a second time, was through Melee. So I was watching Mango, Cloud9. I was big Cloud9 fan. Mango's the GOAT. and it led me to, you know, like, okay, I want to find out what other esports are out there. So I get into college, I buy myself my first like good computer, and I'm like, okay, now I need to learn to play other games besides Melee that are computer games. So I go to a couple friends. The first day I played League, me and 4 other guys, it was spring break, my first year of college. We like hijacked the internet out of the school. I bought like a router so everyone could be plugged in and not have to use Wi-Fi. So we have everyone in one little room in my dorm, and we play for 24 hours straight.
That sounds like those like fucking LCK Korean houses where like the players were like in bunk beds and
we were like, 2 people were on a bed using boxes to hold up their laptops. I was on a desk. Someone else was sitting under the desk, plugged in and playing, and then one person was in my closet.
Oh my god.
And we went straight up 24 hours straight, my introduction to playing League of Legends.
So, you know what's crazy is a lot of people actually don't understand when we were playing video games growing up, you weren't even thinking about like the esports side of it for the most part. You're just doing it, as kids say nowadays, for like the love of the game. And now you have all of this like corporate franchising that has come along with it. And I understand a lot of sides of it too, because like even Jack, remember there was an interview he was doing with, I think, I Will Dominate, or he was doing it with Thorin, one of those guys. He had literally said this word for word. He said when he first got into esports, guys, I'm not making this up, it's literally his words. He said there was negative money in esports. So you know people weren't playing the game or even casting the game for money. Like making millions of dollars, that came way later on in the league.
Yeah, I mean, especially coming from, you know, the Smash scene.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was hosting tournaments at my house with like random TVs. We were going to every yard sale we could possibly find a Wii at, buying Wiis so we could do Brawl, and then buying GameCubes as we, you know, went on. And like we were just hosting 30 kids at my house in high school, and we just feel like, all right, everyone is pitching $5 for pizza. We're gonna get a whole bunch of pizzas and play games. And it'd be like, no money to the winner, just for the love of the game. And we'd have 30 guys show up, spend a whole Saturday playing games, and then, you know, kick everyone out. And like, I remember like when I started, I was like mid-low tier. Everyone was always beating me, and I was like, no, I gotta get good. And that's when I think I found out, like, people play games for a living. There's other people I can watch to make myself better. And once that happened, like another level unlocked, and I started becoming really good. And then we found out, like, I lived next to a big college, Boise State. And so I found out that they had a huge scene for Smash. And so they were like, oh, shoot, we gotta go there. And so me and all the guys that were the best in our little group went. We got our butts kicked when we went there. They were just stomping us. We were like, they had doing things we didn't even know was possible. And we're like, all right, we got to level up, man. We can't be the guys coming over here and getting beat. So
yeah, like one of my friends who I've known almost my entire life since high school, he plays Smash competitively, and you know this too, man. People literally, you go to a friend's house when you kind of figure out how like locals and all stuff, you're sitting there grinding matchups for hours. On end. I tapped out of it at like Ultimate. After Evo 2019. It was like pretty much around that period after Smash 4. I played Ultimate for a little bit, but it's just one of those things where I can't dedicate enough time to constantly stay at that level. I just can't, because like there's only so much time in the day. I'm already doing like this show, the other show. I'm not even just watching LOL esports. I'm watching like traditional sports too. I watch basketball, watch football. There's way too many things I'm already dedicated to. And guys, if you want to be actually good at Smash, I'm not talking like straight up like you pick Kirby and you're just beating your friends. You got to be actually winning top 4. You need to put some dedication to that. Actually,
it was like, it was 8-hour days. Whenever before we go to really big tournaments, like I went to a couple different Genesises. I went and competed at Evos and placed like top 200 at some of those events. When we would go, we would take a week off of whatever, you know, I was working like, you know, at Walmart, you know, just as a high schooler. Man,
that must have sucked.
But like I would take a whole week off before the tournament, and I would tell my parents, like, I'm not coming home. I'm hanging out at so-and-so's house, and we're playing from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, and we have rotations of people practicing different matchups. And, you know, we call it our hyperbolic time chamber before the big tournaments. And that's why I see, like, you know, the teams nowadays doing the esports houses and how beneficial that is, because when we did that, you could reach a whole nother level. Also, I think it's missed sometimes now with all the like offices for esports teams where they
Yeah.
no longer live in the same place. They, just have an office they go to like a normal job. Like,
Yeah.
I think you're missing some of that like grassroots 4, 5, 6 guys all sharing a house together, playing every single day, and just there for only that reason to get better.
I think the last time someone tried that was, oh fucking hell, who was that org that just left last year? 100 Thieves. Remember when
100
they
Thieves.
had that? Yeah,
Yeah.
and even they moved on to like this compound
Yep.
that they have in LA. Because I know Cloud9, which is always a very good decision. I like that Jack never did that. I like that Jack only kept it like very in-house actually, because I
Yep.
always felt like those big giant facilities when they were investing in them, because to be fair, they were investing for the future of where they thought esports was headed. I never saw that really working out as a good investment, though. Like, it would make sense to just have a house and just you kind of curate it into how you want it to work. Actually, I think Jack made a good decision in not investing in a facility.
Some orgs like 100 Thieves were, content team. I know people always say they're a content and it's more about the content and more about selling merch and blah, blah, blah. But like, for those people, yeah, you have to have offices to sell merch and to do stuff like that. If that's your main goal, sure. If your main goal is being the best you can possibly be at League of Legends, then a house is better for that.
Right. And it's also something where you had just said, 100 Thieves was just a content team, but it sure felt like that way through like most of their League of Legends duration. Good Lord, there was a stretch there where they were just sucking complete ass. But it's also something where like that grassroots build up that like Smash had, League had, and a lot of these other games that went on to become like major esport titles, there was some kind of charm and nuance to it. Like, I don't know how to explain it to people that never went through that. Like, unless you actually kind of go through that or currently are going through it, it just is going to feel very jarring to have like a guy in a suit talk about a spreadsheet, talking about what we need to do to make more money, because esports, that was, though that interview Mark Cuban did with esports, I remember like Steve Artiset tried to get Mark Cuban to invest in the Team Liquid, and he had famously said like he said he didn't really see it as like a I would say a sports team or like a business. He kind of called it like an agency. What's weird, and Mark Cuban says a lot of stupid things, but I do agree with him on that. Like esports, he was right though. These are kind of like agencies. They don't really make money though,
Yeah, I mean, there's very few teams that have made money. I know maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, Cloud9 had a like program where you could be a part of like the special club. I think it was called the Stratus. Yeah. And they had a special interview with Jack. And I actually was in on that and got to listen to him. And they talked about the money. And he specifically said that they are profitable, but he said it with very quotations. But and even if they weren't, he said they are ready for the next 10 years, no matter what, to keep C9 LOL going.
Right.
And so you have, I mean, it's not real profitable. It's not like the NBA, the NFL, these teams that are making tons and tons and tons of money selling jerseys and stuff like that. They are just trying to break even because of the love of the game and hope that one day it grows to be truly profitable. I'm sure there's been tons of times where these teams, owners have taken cuts, not made any money themselves, just letting the org make enough money to keep things going. But that's what you got to do for the love of the game. I mean,
yeah, because I remember like Jack even said famously that when he entered esports, there was just negative money in the scene. And he also had a tweet about profitability. Like, I think it was after the Jojo Peon era for Cloud9, at the end of the year, he was like, I did everything I could. I actually brought Cloud9 back to profitability, like the way you just it was Friends and Frenzy. So it probably was a good overall bounce back, because that's when they had those big collaborations. I remember it was like they had like some sort of One Piece collaboration.
Yep, they had the Smurfs, the One Piece.
Yeah, so that's what probably
you saw Berserker was still using his Smurf mousepad against Cloud9 this weekend. Like, oh man, it's sad, but
it's crazy because I had so much more symbolism too. It's like he saw here smurfing. Oh no.
Yeah, I know. It's one of my favorite collabs. I mean, Cloud9's had a lot of fun. I mean, and you see Team Liquid's done some really good collabs with different.
Oh, they had my favorite one ever. That Marvel one they did in 2019.
The Marvel one was sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that it has to be like one of the best ones any esports org ever did. Like when Team Liquid walked out and all had like those Captain
All the
America
different
jerseys.
superheroes. Yeah.
I loved it.
Oh,
I hope I hope they could do that again because
yeah.
that was epic. Like I still have it over there. I ordered the wrong size back then. I ordered a medium, but I still have it over there. That jersey was fucking sick. I know they did the latest one they had was for like the Deadpool movie, and that Deadpool jersey just sold out immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, as a big org, you gotta find things like that to keep yourself afloat. And these teams are just trying to hold on until something big happens. I don't know if we'll ever get to that. I mean, the LCS this year, I think, has had more positivity than it has in the years past, but I don't see it growing to like what they thought is going to be.
Right.
It's probably going to stay right here is probably our cap. And we're going to stay here and hope that you can ride out at this point for as long as you possibly can.
I also think that because like a lot of people, because you've been around almost as long as me. Remember when people kept parroting like, oh, well, TSM versus CLG, Cloud9 TSM, CLG versus Cloud9. Like when you had the big marquee matches, Liquid kind of came later, but they were cursed. So TSM, CLG, Team Liquid, what was it? TSM, CLG, Cloud9, and Curse, then Liquid. Yeah, when those guys would play, that had a lot of viewership.
Yeah.
But when those guys weren't playing any combination of each other, the viewership really wasn't all that much, though. I feel like people use that TSM versus CLG game as like the benchmark for LCS viewership forever. When if anyone who's ever watched the LCS as long as I have, I started watching it after because you guys where I started. First everything I ever watched for League was 2014 World Championship, which was oh man, they don't make worlds like they used to anymore. And the theme songs, Jesus Christ! Like the LCS back then did have a lot of big viewers, but to act like every game viewership was TSM versus CLG. No, it wasn't. It actually wasn't at all. Yeah. Like, unless Cloud9 or TSM were playing, the viewership was it was solid, but it was never like not every game was doing 500K. That's ridiculous, guys. Come on.
Yeah, and I think it's also like we see that right now with the LEC with Los Ratones. Like when Los Ratones is playing, you're getting those huge peaks,
right?
And it's because those teams back then were more than just orgs. Like you cared about the players that have been around for a long time and the storylines that they were building. It was still so new. Now, and I know a lot of people who still play League who have no idea about what's going on in the LEC or the LCS or they just don't care anymore. It's gone down. And I know the biggest thing that people keep trying to figure out is what's causing it. Is it that we're not doing good internationally? Is it that players move around too much? Is it, we've had so many players for too long, I've heard so many different ideas of what it could be. And I don't know. I don't know.
It's a combination of everything.
It's a combination of all of it and the combination of League as a whole, maybe not being as popular to watch as it was in the past.
Right. And I also think a lot of big personalities, like you said back in the day, that were driving a lot of the viewership, they're gone. Like, people have to understand, I'm a Cutie Pie was not a good player at all, period. But was entertaining to watch, though. He still has those famous quotes that people care to this day. Like Tyler One, someone who never has been on the LCS stage outside of like that one show match they did in the 2018 LCS Summer Split Finals. Outside of that, where him and Freak were on a bot lane together. What the fuck? That's crazy to think about now. The thing about League is like all the big personalities, a lot of them are gone. And I also think internationally does have a big step with a lot of these teams too. Like at a certain point, when Worlds would end, you'd be like, because remember that conversation would always happen. What can we do to make the LCS better? At some point, after like, for me personally, after like the third or fourth time, I was like, wait a minute, we're just doing this every single year. We're just not good enough. I'm not saying the players can't ever win it.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying the players aren't good. Like, they clearly are. They go and they stream, they challenge us. So it's not that the players aren't good. It's just like their players are just that much better, and that's a hard pill to swallow for some people. You play Smash, you know this too. Sometimes you could put in hours and hours and hours. If someone's just better than you, there's not really much you can do. And we know all the problems here when it comes to League. I mean, Riot, people give Riot a lot of shit, and I give Riot a lot of shit too. Riot did create something for them that they all asked for. They said, we want our own high-tier portal that we could just play on a server. I forgot what it was called, but they shut it down. I forgot.
Champions queue.
Champions queue. They begged for that. They were all going on Travis's show, being like, "Hey, we need Champions queue because solo queue is trash." And Riot, actually gave it to them. Guess what happens, guys? They played it for like 2 days and gave up.
I mean, I think the players were asking for something a little bit different that's not feasible. They were asking for low ping playing.
Yeah, that happened.
Was just like they could play on low ping and screw everyone else, but we want to be, the server in LA so that we can play on low ping and still play solo queue and have everyone else play against us, but we get the low ping. And it's like, that's not going to work. Like, unless you're going to do 2 different servers, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast.
Right.
We really can't do that. It's in Chicago because that's the most central you can really get to all the major cities. And unless there's a huge spike in player count where we could split America in half, it doesn't make sense to put a server specifically in America. And so Riot's answer to that was like, we'll give you your own thing that's a little bit different. And I think, there were some teams that tried it, and like CoreJJ was one of those guys who was like in there every single week trying to get it going.
Sven played it a lot.
Sven has always been a grinder, plays a lot. But then there's been a lot of other people who just didn't do it, and because of that, it slowly died. And it's real sad because, in the couple of the leagues that I cast, we've started similar things where we have our own, queues that you can jump into for in-house scrims and stuff like that. And they always start off really great, and then slowly they just die, and then it just doesn't work. And it's like, man, this is such a great idea if people just stay committed to it. But
right, because the other thing that they were saying was like, we want Champions queue because it'll give us better practice against people on our level, so that way when you play solo queue, you're not just going up against like that random Katarina one trick. And it's like, you can't ask for something. Then what's crazy is because Riot really doesn't cater to players like that. They finally give it to you, and instead of just being like, hey, can you make some improvements here, they just stopped playing it. So that thing that they were asking for, Riot's going to go, well, I guess it's like hot air. It's like what a politician does. They say something and it's just only for saying it. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else happens in it. It's just like you saying it because it sounds nice. And it's like, well, if you guys aren't even going to commit to this, that you're better than begging for this. They're begging for this. Like, we're going to get better by playing against each other and having more better quality practice. You're in NA. Better quality practice doesn't happen when there's Dignitas in the league. You're pointing out better quality NA don't even. That sounds like an oxymoron.
Yeah,
better quality.
NA. A lot of people complained because they were letting like collegiate league players in, and like some people that were vetted that were slightly higher that weren't pros. And like, I know that's when a lot of the players started using that as an excuse. It's like, well, now we have people who aren't that good in here, and the games are very one-sided. And it's like, well, if you allow that to continue to grow, those players will get better.
That's where their mindset.
And then everyone will get better. You have to build the people below you to get better. If you continue to keep that gap between the, however many it would be, like 40 players in the LCS and everyone else, and you never allow that gap to shrink, you will never get good practice except against each other, which creates bubbles of ideas. We only play this way. We only can do it this way, blah, blah, blah. That's why I think every year you have a team who is on the fringe, who doesn't get maybe the top tier scrims. They don't play against the Cloud9s. They don't play against the Team Locals. They play against only the lower tier teams that have a random turn up when it comes to playoffs because they're trying new things playing against teams maybe like collegiate teams because they can't get the good scrims. And I think that they should just allow more ideas to go through, more scrims, try different things, let the scene below you grow, help out the colleges around you. APA came from a college team.
I remember.
And I as someone who cast, for the low budget LCS, the Scuttle Crab Draft League, a couple other different leagues, like there's some really good orgs out there who are really trying to just, play the best League Legends they possibly can. And they're never going to be pro, but some of these teams I think would get more out of allowing those people to get pushed up the ranks and try to play against other teams. Now, I get it. I get not wanting to play against other teams. You don't want like the Lakers playing against some college team.
Because you do get bad reads on scrims if you're stopping people too hard. It's just that part you mentioned earlier. I told people this too, even back then when I think we had this show back then. Good Lord, I'm old. Good Lord, we do this show for years. Like, I agree with that too. The issue is they're like, well, they allow collegiate players. Yeah, these are people that are aspiring to go pro. Now,
Yep.
keep in mind, you're gonna stop some of them. There has to be. It's just like what Grabs. It's just like what I think Grabs said years ago when we were talking about like developing NA talent. Because I know he said a quote that kind of went like this. He said, "There's no way there's not talent there." Keep in mind, Peter Dunn, who's not even from America, came over here, found Jojo Pion and Danny.
Yep.
They came from that sort of kind of scene too. It's like
Yep.
they're like completely disregarding all of them. That's ridiculous. And
Yeah.
that's what would hurt growing the scene. Like you said, it's because, hey, I understand some of these guys are probably frauds. They're not that good. Yeah, but not all of them are frauds. That's just ridiculous to think about.
Yeah.
That's crazy of a mindset to have.
And you look at a lot of players come in as frauds. I mean, look at like Isles had a terrible first couple years in the LCS and struggled really bad, and was looking fine now online. And Fudge also struggled at the beginning. I mean, there's a lot of players who've come in and struggled and then gotten better with time. And I think if you allow the collegiate team, the league below the LCS, to struggle and get better, it'll become better. And I know we used to have the academy, and it used to be that, and the academy always seemed weird because it felt like it was just a place to farm players to sell off to other teams. So I'm kind of glad they've gotten rid of the way they used to do academy, but I think we need to still have them together and talk about it.
Right. I also think potentially next year going to LCS, we go to 10 teams, and I'm pure understand, but I know what people are going to say, but MSK, that allows more bad teams. The problem here is you also allow for more players to come up. Then if there's some like diamonds in the rough on those lower tier teams, you can pick them out, honestly. This has happened, God, my God, literally since the LCS has been a thing ever since I was watching it. LEC, LCK, like all those other teams and regions. Like, why shouldn't what's the one? Luminosity. Now, the thing with Luminosity from last year, because you were casting, remember how they had that roster like Fake God and Zazel and Tactical and all those players? Those players would be like a benchmark. It would be fine to have them in because those are players that are notoriously paycheck stealers. But if you have them in the league and they're a gatekeeping benchmark team, that means they could be a litmus test for another team of rookie players coming up. Because of rookie teams, like because you cast, they're only going to go one of two ways. It goes, they get completely ran through like Army Corp Blue, or they're actually a really good team and they come off like I don't know, 2018 Griffin. Right.
Like Las Vegas was one game away from making playoffs, and who knows what would have happened, And if you look at that team on paper, you may see some of them would have been like paycheck stealers and didn't deserve to be in the league, or maybe not as good as what you consider a top tier team. But I mean, if you look back at the old days of League of Legends, there was a lot of teams where it was the power of friendship, good teamwork, and players that weren't as good. Like original Cloud9, we never had the best players in any role. It was never that. But with good shot calling, the power of friendship, High was so good at, keep putting the team together and get everyone to do the right thing, kind of like Inspired is today, without the toxicity. But if you can do that, you can have teams that may outperform teams that aren't as good, and you can find some of those diamonds in the rough that end up staying for a really long time, like Sneaky was. Sneaky was the one that was able to stay for a really long time, that if it wasn't for that power friendship team that did well together, we never would have gotten Sneaky.
That's true. And I also think that all of the perspectives can be allowed in League. Like people are gonna say Dardoch perspective. Well, Dardoch didn't have what Inspired had, because people would compare the two based off then versus now. The thing that Inspires has is, even though he might come off as mean to people, what he's saying is working. The way that Dardoch would talk to people, he talked in such a bad way that made people do the opposite, actually.
Yeah.
So it's not like that approach can't work. It's just the way that he's speaking to them. It can either come off as really good, and they go like, you know what? He is passionate. He is kind of mean, but you know what? I can understand what he's saying. But if you're going to someone, you're like, hey, man, I hope your mom fucking dies. You suck at League. Hope you die tonight. And I hope your mom gets into a car crash, you little bitch. Yeah, that's probably not going to be good for someone's mentality, But if you're saying, hey, man, you lost 3 waves. I'm a little frustrated, but here's how you can do better. Here's how I can help you.
Yeah.
Each perspective can work. And I think the other one, like the one that High had with Cloud9, so criminal, though. I was thinking about the other day, dude. How did that guy never win MVP?
Yeah.
Crazy.
He was never the guy. Like, he was never the best player on the team. He was never, the one that carried, like, Inspired is lucky that he has that. Not lucky. He's really, really good at what he does, and
When
he's
he
worked
does
really hard
best.
for it. Yeah,
Oh,
but
I'm gonna
like
do the Wolverine reference. Oh god, he had it.
what he does is he is really good at the game, but he's also really good at managing the game. And now that he has that, people understand that about him and know that he is the one, because he's done it with so many different teams now, so many different players around him, that is the one that's managing people. He gets the benefit of both. He's really good, and if the team does good, it makes him look even better.
Right. And now what's crazy is because the reason why I brought up the Dardoch and when maybe people say unforgiven situation is because there are specific ways you can come off like that and it works. And now FlyQuest was like, you know what? He's being really mean. We can do better. I don't know if Griffin's better. If you're gonna do that,
believe in him for the future, but it's gonna take some time.
Right? And keep in mind, I don't mind giving people chances. Dude, like, you know what the LEC Lince is? That guy sucked. Yeah. That guy sucked for like 4 split straight. I was like, he's legitimately almost on the tier of like paycheck ceiling. He had a really good split this last LEC versus. It's just, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna say, hey man, we don't like the way you talk to our players or anything like that. Okay, cool. You have standards. That's awesome. I might not agree. That's fine. But you can't go and get someone like that, and then that proves that he was right potentially in aspects of how they should and how they're gonna win, right? Because keep in mind, FlyQuest dump Inspired and Blippo, and they pretty much got borderline 7th place. Yeah. Then what's crazy is he ended up just beating out Team Liquid, Sentinels, and it's so weird. Hey, Lion won. I'm happy. They beat us. It's fine. It's okay. But for them to say, oh, we did it all ourselves, not really. You have the best player in the league. That's the reason why you won. Like, we got to temper our expectations, though. Lion did not win because they had like the 5 best players at the positions. Saint was considered a mega choker. Checks notes like last week.
Yeah,
people were saying, why is this guy even in the LCS? Isles, like you said before, really never has been good. Berserker came off the Freak of Freaks, or DN Supers as they call him now. Bad split. Dokla is fine. Him not having a team was fine. They should have him. That's perfectly fine. But Dokla literally himself didn't even want to play. He barely nudged. What's crazy is he had a choice to be on 100 Thieves and Lion. He chose 100 Thieves, then ended up on Lion and winning anyway. Don't know how that works, but whatever, But it's just, that looks bad on FlyQuest, though. You guys said, essentially, by removing him, we don't want that. Okay, cool, then you can get 7th place then. That's not good either.
Yeah. Yeah, and we say that now with 100% knowledge of what happened. True. But 3 weeks ago we might have been like, they're about the same spot. FlyQuest maybe made the right choice, because Lion was about to be eliminated just 3 weeks ago. And we say that now, but at the end of the year, when Worlds comes around and that team is falling apart because Inspired is being too mean to Berserker, we just don't know. It's happened a couple times with Inspired. Right. I get it. But like, from this perspective we are right now, I've seen a lot of people being like, is it time for Cloud9 to hit the panic button? Is it like, because they always going to choke right before they make it to internationals? And, is it an issue with the team, the coaches, the players? Like, what is it? And I'm like, look, double elim brackets are really weird, but it's not true double elim. When the team from losers only has to win once. So you're saying a team that lost 1 series, 3 games, the whole split, should hit the panic button? No, I don't think that's true. Right, I think Line came in and played at their peak. Cloud9 did not play great.
And Line just ramped up. Yeah. It's one of those where, because I think people don't understand how this works with double elimination brackets. When you went through the upper bracket, your benefit is playing less games. So playing 1 less series. Now, in theory, for League, as you know, you've been watching for a long time, the theory would go like, hey, you can see that team play, you can see them draft and everything. But then there's the other side of like, how much do you value letting another team see your strategy versus actually playing on the stage and seeing what actually works, though? Because I will say this, I think the latter part is actually true. A team ramping up, I would say, in theory, has more value because you're ramping up, you're gaining momentum, and even though someone might see your strategy, you do get to play 1 less series in the upper bracket. You're testing out how you want to play the game multiple times on stage, though. And to be fair, last week I did predict Lion and C9 to be in the final. I didn't predict Lion to win. I predicted C9 to win. Well, I
Yeah,
was half right.
close, close.
Ah,
Yeah.
fucking hell.
I mean, coming from, I get league could be like 6 hours, 7 hour day of playing if you go to 5 games. So like I get why we can't just do 2 series and do a true double elim bracket. Coming from, Smash, that's the staple. Double elim brackets is normal.
Yeah,
And a lot of times the person coming from losers, because they're warm, they've played more, the person who's sitting in winner's side has to prepare for 3 other people. The person coming from losers knows who's at the end, knows they can beat the people in front of them probably, and is preparing for that one team. And the way that the league works, I guarantee they did not get good scrims on that Saturday. Because who's going to scrim when the season's over and give you good scrims? Like the 2 best teams are in the finals playing against each other. You're not getting a good scrim that day. And then you have to play against Team Liquid, who just got defeated and probably not good mental. You got to play against, a team that doesn't have good mental. So and then they said on broadcast is the first time a team's ever come from loser side and won. But I do think it is an advantage because you only have to have one bad day where both of them had one bad day where they lost. And Cloud9 just happened to be
the worst
one
day
in the finals
theory possible. Yeah, because the thing is, there is benefits to both. Because I want people to understand, you playing less games could help you, and and there also is like the pressure of online in that moment of being like, hey, I have to essentially win. Like, how many best of 5 series they won? They won like 4 in a row.
Yeah.
So there is pressure on them, guys. You understand? Because people say lower brackets have no pressure. You lose, you're out. What do you mean there's no pressure? I truly don't understand how people are this not up in the head well. Like, it's you lose, you're out. I don't know if that's not
the most pressure you can have. Winner side technically should have less pressure because you have another chance. If you lose, you just have to regroup, figure it out for the next week. But lower side, it's one bad day and you're out.
Or you could argue the winner side has more pressure because everyone expects you to win because you're coming from the winner's bracket. Because I've never understood this argument because only league people say these things. Or you come from the traditional side of it. Now, if you come from the traditional port side of it, that's understandable because this would be kind of jarring to you. But it's people that know tournament brackets like Smash and CSGO. It's like, guys, double elimination has been a part of like esports, you would say, fighting games forever. Like, so when the LCS and LEC and LPL, LCK, all these major regions introduced double elimination, I was like, man, finally, like, good Lord, because I've been accustomed to all of it throughout my entire life. And when people say, well, the team on the winner side of it doesn't get an advantage, your advantage is playing less games. What are you talking about? It's like they don't even think. They're thinking like, well, it has no stakes because the person that's playing knows they can just lose. Guys, I'm just telling you right now, no one thinks that. At all. That has never been a thing. I'll be honest here. If anyone's ever did that, I want them out because right there, that would show a complete disrespect for all of your teammates. It's like when people say, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Spring or winter doesn't matter." Or something. Okay, then why? First of all, as just a hypothetical, why are you watching then? If nothing matters except for Worlds, stop watching right now and just watch in November October when the World's going on. But keep in mind, you're not going to do that. Not you, but hypothetically, you're not going to do that because it does matter. All this matters. People say, we'll use the example you just gave, Las Ratones. Guys, Las Ratones was definitely trying to make playoffs. Just want to point out here, that mattered to them. But it's just winner, it doesn't matter. You know why you think that? Because you're a loser and you live in your mom's house and she pays your cell phone bill and you have no actual life experience and you don't understand how this works. I don't understand this mindset with people. Things don't matter, but you're the one that's watching the other person. You're the loser. You're the person who goes in league, locks in Janna with flash and ignite mid, and runs it down when you get angry. That's the person you are. So to say things that don't matter, I mean, guys, coaches, players get dropped instantly if you do not have results. I just will not understand. If any competitor has that mindset that things don't matter, I do not want to watch you in any context. Faker has tried in every split, every random tournament ever, and he's the GOAT of the game. He's literally tell Chovy, don't try in this split. He'll look at you like you're actually crazy. He will not. You'll be like, what are you talking about?
You have to be like somewhat insane to be really good at something. Like, when I was heavily competing in Smash, there was tournaments I'd go to and I'd be, in bracket have to play the number 1 player in the world. And I never went in there thinking, yeah, I'm just going to lose. Like, it doesn't matter. No, I went in there thinking I'm going to win, even though realistically, I knew I was never going to win. But you have to have that mindset of like, he can make a mistake. I can win this. Like, I could play the best Super Smash Melee of my life and win this. And then guess what? Now I'm going to take his spot and I'm going to be the first seed for this bracket. Like, and that's the way these players are. None of them are going out there thinking they're going to lose. And if they are, that's why their team sucks. But they're going in every single time, and you could see it by the way that the players talk after. You know, I've been doing recently. We've been trying to do interviews with captains of the teams after they lose for the leagues that I cast, and specifically in like the playoffs, just because like I think that's something that gets missed. Is like, sometimes you lose and it's okay, but like there is a lot of emotion. There's a lot of things to go on. And I think that's something that people like to see and hear. Is like, Cloud9 did a podcast today about them losing,
it was too soon for me.
It was hard. It was hard to watch and but like you can see the emotion and how much it matters to them.
Yeah, and this is just like winter. Keep in mind, guys, when you guys say things don't matter, okay, this is just winter. Okay, if things don't matter, why do you have a bunch of players pretty much borderline on tears sometimes when they lose splits like these earlier in the year, completely devastated? I'm pretty sure Gumayusi, who has won Worlds, good Lord, 3 times. Holy mother God. That's a lot of times. Pretty sure he wasn't happy he lost on Hanwha Life when they took him from T1 to prove a point that, hey, we're going to get this guy and we're going to win. Not happy. It's people who've never competed in anything. And they always say the thing that goes like this: what do you get in playing in splits like these? Guys, this is what you get. God forbid. This is going to blow your brains. Winning. Yeah, winning is what you're playing for. Winning, everything legacy matters. Legacy?
Yeah.
What is this? Like, hey, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who won on OKC last year for NBA, they asked him, do you want to beat the Golden State Warriors record from 2016? He was like, yeah. But the girl literally asked him, why? He said, winning in any context matters no matter what it is. That's what they think. That's what these guys think. So when you guys are saying this take of like, these tournaments don't matter, they don't care, that's just not true. There's nothing else I can do to explain it to you. If you're in that mindset, you're cooked. You are absolutely cooked. Nothing can help you because you've never competed in anything. Like, how in the world do people, because I'll ask you guys this. If these things don't matter, why is every Fnatic fan so mad when they lose? Because keep in mind, domestically is the only thing you can win. Worlds, you ain't winning that. Let's check that off. Domestically is domestically is the only time most of these teams can win. So why are you angry when your team doesn't win domestically, though? I thought things don't matter. Oh wait, they all matter. Everything fucking matters because I'm dedicating my time to watching you. What are you talking about?
Shoot, man, I was in a bad mood all day Sunday. Even yesterday, I was kind of in a bad mood.
I'm not gonna lie, I was too. I was like, fuck,
it was rough. And every year Cloud9 goes to Worlds, I'm like, this is the year they win it all, and I believe it. I believe it with my whole heart every time. And I'll root for whatever team from NA goes the furthest. But with my whole heart every year, I'm like, this is the year we're gonna do better. And I think that the players that are good also have that attitude. The players that are paycheck stealers and are not doing good, they may not.
I have that for Cloud9, Gen.G, and G2. So whenever they're doing good, I'm happy. Every year with Gen.G, it's like, oh, they're gonna make World Finals. No, they don't, and it makes me sad. It's fine. It's okay. I have the tools to cope with what life throws at me. But speaking of Cloud9, we can't get into them because they did just recently lose the LCS 2026 lock-in tournament split. What do you want to call it? Finals, I guess. My biggest issue is I was joking earlier. I did tune in for some of the show, but there was a part of it I had to just turn it off because I just don't like this. When I'm pretty sure you might have watched it. The part where APA was like, you know what, we just had a bad day and we are good enough. I think that's the problem there. And I'm not saying he's not good in his own way. He did actually improve with the champion pool thing. I did like that he did prove it because that was my big doubt for him. Was like, he doesn't have too many champions he can play very well outside of like insert 3. He did kind of come up with a few more champions to play. He said something and I was like, dude, I like you did. I just crashed out and turned it off because I can't hear that. Hey, we had a bad day, which is true. Like, you can't have a bad day. That's not disagreeable. It's when he said something that went along like this. We are good enough. We know we can win. How about just accepting maybe you're not good enough at certain things and try to improve on them? I will dominate. Luckily, didn't think that. But it's like, that's the problem that I have with them since I've been supporting them. It's like all the players do that. A lot of them have been doing that throughout many years, many splits. They keep saying they're good enough. It's like, well, you're not good enough unless you win, though. That's kind of the point, though. And you weren't good enough in that series. They were getting outplayed, and even in game one, there was a chance they could have lost it. That could have been a 3-0 if they weren't careful in game one. It's like, I just don't want to hear that you're good enough when we just saw you're not good enough. And come on, it's not like you're good and you're complete trash. That would be over exaggerating. But the way that all of you performed in that series, outside of like Vulcan, there's got to be some level like, hey, man, we have to get these issues kinked. Blabber is the big question mark. There's a calm. I know you watched the series too. The broadcast played it. Vulcan's like, hey, Inspired is invading. You're in game 3, he did that Jarvan path where he came down. Yep. Vulcan told him what he was doing. Blabber just ignored him. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's like, so bad.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. And I see that point of view. I also see the point of view of, you know, if you ask Michael Jordan every time he lost if he was good enough to win the whole thing, I think he would say he was.
Yeah.
And so I think there is like a certain kind of mental that like you can have that like, I think I am better. I should have won. Even if you didn't, having that mental is okay. But having the mental of like, I don't need to improve or get better because I was good enough is not okay. And so in that context, I think that they made a lot of mistakes and they could get better and they're still growing as a team. And I think a lot of people thought because we just switched out APA that it's just going to be a, you know, quick, easy transition. And I think that, you know, APA and Loki are so different as mid laners that it is a huge change on the way the whole team plays. And so I think we're going back to the, you know, the older style of Cloud9 with playing through mid and jungle as a duo roaming, where in the past it was 3 lanes that just won their lanes and Blabber was free to do whatever the heck he wanted to. Now it feels like we're getting the Talias, we're getting the Gallios, we're getting these roaming champions in the mid lane that can play around Blabber and around the other lanes. And actually played a lot through Sven. I think Sven is one of those guys who always kind of gets ignored and not kind of talked about as being as good as he is, and just consistently performs really well. I mean, granted, Berserker is probably the best ADC in the league when he's playing at his top, and he didn't do that great against Lion both times they played. I think even when they played the first time, Berserker was up in lane every single game.
And Sven admitted, remember, he swapped to support because he knew Berserker was better. He didn't want to compete for the spot. So I think this is another issue they're going to run into when they face Lion consistently. Is Blabber seems to have some like weird mental block against Inspired. He's only won against Inspired, what, two best of series?
Once since 2023, 2020. There was a year where Blabber beat him a couple times. Yeah. After that, it's been like all Inspired and only one win for Blabber.
Because you have that EG one, and then you have, it was the one last year with the 100 Thieves in the beginning part of winter, that weird winter split that lasted like 4 weeks. He won that one, but there's not many. What's crazy is there's not many times he actually does beat him when it comes to like the actual best of series, actually. And it's getting to a point where, and hey, I love Blabber. I met him. I went to his first ever game when they were like 10th place, and I like the guy. I really do. But it's one of this. It's now coming to a point where if you're not winning domestically, for me, benchmark for Western teams as at least, you know what, maybe at Worlds, you're probably not going to do well. I understand that at this point now. At least win domestically. That's the best I can hope for you. And then maybe at internationals, you could do well. If he's not even winning domestically anymore, is it time to finally just let the guy go? Well, I mean, I don't know, because that's the thing, though, is do you believe in this guy to a point where he can get back to that domestic crazy carry jungler he used to be? Or is this finally who he's going to be? Keep on it, guys. I don't know. He was dominant for a very, very long time. Someone else better came into the league. Now it's looking like he's just going to be really number 2. Sentinels. Remember Sentinels? They swapped out that other guy. Whose name's Zayu? Zayu's not good, guys. I'm sorry. He's not that good. They got Hambach and that core roster is a lot better now.
Yeah.
You know?
I somewhat agree about the Blabber thing. But I think Inspired is just honestly, and I hate to say it because I'm a huge Blabber fan. He's probably my favorite player that's ever played for Cloud9.
Mhm.
It's just that much better than Blabber right now.
Mhm.
But Inspired is honestly on par with most junglers in the world.
Mhm.
And we've seen that when he's gone to MSI and gone to Worlds, that he is able to create leads even against Korean teams, even against Chinese teams. So I still think that Blabber is good enough for North America, and I don't know who you could reasonably go out and get right now that would
Oh,
make the team
yeah.
better.
Yeah, and I
Right?
think for this year, they're still gonna stick with him. Do you think after this year, because he's been on the team since what? Summer 2018? That'd be like
Yeah.
what? Almost eight years?
He's the longest tenured player on a team right now out of
Yeah.
anyone in the LCS.
Do you, at this point, at the end of the year, finally go and gamble on someone new? Because you're right, it could go in the Griffin situation of him just being just completely just not good enough, honestly. And keep in mind, Griffin could get better, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, do you want to sacrifice? Do you tank? Not like tank necessarily in a bad sense of like, I get someone new, I'm going to be not good for a little bit. Or is an org like Cloud9 okay with that? For me, I've been watching them forever, and I love Cloud9 too. They're the first esport org I ever supported, and I still do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't think they're willing to just not be good for a little bit to go through that rough period, because you got to go through that rough period to see if this guy's worth it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do that anymore. What they could do, and they have been doing it, but that hasn't working either, is kind of band-aiding a Blabber situation. Like they got Thanatos when Fudge was not good. Okay, Thanatos is good. He's not been winning either. Sven has issues laning, as people have seen. Well, Sven's other guy that he kind of swapped roles for is on the other team now. Now he's got a couple of teams. I would say Vulcan has probably been the best player on Cloud9 for a while. And, you know, there's only so much you can do as a support. Sadly, he's not carry. He can't transform the game, sadly.
And even Vulcan has moments. I think, the whole team has moments of not doing well. And unfortunately, like I don't think we can ever make a perfect team.
Sadly.
It seems like it's magnified when it comes to playoffs. Like usually one player is playing good enough, two players are playing good enough throughout the regular season that they can just win every game no matter what, even if Vulcan and Sven have a bad lane. Top and mid are winning so hard in jungle that it doesn't matter. Even when top has a bad game, mid and jungle are winning so hard it doesn't matter. And it just seems not to work that well when it comes to playoffs. Like they can't deal with not being ahead. And I've heard that a lot of times in scrims with Cloud9 is that they're always just so far ahead in the early game that teams ask for remakes all the time. And they're just always winning so hard that it doesn't, they maybe just not getting great practice.
And that was the thing last year too. Remember with the FlyQuest drama? Because essentially that's what you're saying is true. Cloud9 would do so well in the early game that FlyQuest went, hey, we want to practice our mid game. Cloud9 was like, no. So FlyQuest was like, then we'll just remake then. That's the problem with scrim cultures. Cloud9's also had this in scrim culture for a long time. Jack had mentioned this like back in the day when they were losing a lot of playoffs finals with Reaper or going out sometimes in the semi, is sometimes he had felt like the players got a little too complacent after getting a nice regular season finish. They didn't try hard in the playoffs. Now you get to a point where some of these now finals is like, maybe they can't function if they're not ahead. In their brain, they feel like it's like all hope is lost.
Yeah.
So it might be a huge mental issue they need to overcome. Like, do you think getting a sports psychologist is going to help? Because even Fnatic got that, as you saw, that didn't really help them either, honestly.
I know they did have a sports psychologist at one point. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was a pretty big, and he actually was one of the people who like really pushed for sports psychology across all the different esports teams and actually ended up helping out with multiple. And they also have, we're the first team to get a hand specific doctor and helped out with and now is like the big hand guy that all like the big esports teams go to when they have hand problems. So I know they are putting into that kind of stuff. I don't think that's, unless they just need a better one. I don't, it's hard to say, but like, I think it's just the way that scrims work. If people don't maybe not take them as seriously as games, and it's something we hear all the time, if people don't take them as seriously, they give up, they have mental boom, they're trolling in picks, they're, not, and we begged Riot for a long time to give us better stuff for better scrims. And now we have that. And I feel like we are not using it with the whole practice tool where we can say, let's practice this scenario over and over and over again from a specific spot. Why are we not having teams do that? When I was playing on a team, we did that. we would play games. We would say, at this point in the game, 20 minutes in the game, we're going to fight around, or 25 minutes, we're going to fight around Baron. This is the amount of items teams are going to have. We're going to play this out with one team down 5,000 gold, then we'll swap another team down 5,000 gold. And we'll practice games from this perspective to get better at the game. Not we're just so dominant at laning that every single scrim, we're just winning through lanes, and then the team fights become easy because we're just winning. And I don't ever hear them using this new tool, the practice tool, where we can set this up and we can practice specific scenarios over and over and over again. Imagine instead of spending all this time practicing the laning, which they get to do all the time in solo queue, they just said, we're going to practice fights around Baron 10 times in a row from different points of view and see what happens.
Because I think a lot of it also comes down to drafting as well. Like, I want people to understand, I was even never that guy. I was like, it's not always the draft. Guys, there are some drafts that are borderline unplayable. I'll bring up Fnatic again. Fnatic has this tendency with grabs to randomly pick Ezreal into like 2 tanks. Even if you were like, God forbid, I don't even think Gen G could make that work. Like, there's certain things you can't make work even with what you're given. One of the games they picked Mel Nami bot lane. And keep in mind, like you said, they might have tried that in scrims. It probably worked out very well.
Yeah.
But on stage, as we know, teams just play a little bit more differently. Some teams play a lot more reserved in scrims, play a lot more aggressive on stage, and then vice versa. The problem that Cloud9 tend to have is also communication between mid and jungle. Honestly, as outside of Niski, I don't think Blabber's really ever synergized with any of the mid laners past him. Amenas, it wasn't good. Perks, it wasn't good. Jojo Pion and Fudge, it wasn't good. God, like Fudge was their mid lane at one point. Holy crap, man.
Who was the other one we had?
Oh God, Loki. That
Loki.
one didn't really...
Then there was the one guy that was like there for just like a split.
Yeah, it was Fudge. That was Fudge when he tried out Soraka mid.
No. There was another. There was
right?
Another Danish guy, I think.
Oh my God!
What is his name?
Was it Magic? Not Magic. That's not wrong. Oh my God! He came from Vitality's Academy.
Yeah. And it was between him and M&S. And M&S started the second half. The other guy started the first half. Oh man, I can't remember his name. But yeah,
God.
Mid has been an enigma for Cloud9 since Jensen. And Niski honestly was my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
A favorite mid laner we've had since Jensen. Loki, feels bad. Something outside of League is the reason why he's not playing mid for Cloud9 this year, which is, sucks because that was the plan, was just to keep him and not worry about APA. I feel like APA, though, is the closest thing we've had to like a Niski that wants to play more for the team instead of so for themselves. So I'm hoping that will work out in the long term.
Do you like the Anero, I will dominate coaching staff?
I love Dom and I love Anero. I don't know. I think we need more time. I appreciate Dom, what he's done with like saying, hey, if I'm going to do this, I have to be fully committed. I'm giving up streaming as much. I'm going to come move there and be a part of it. And I think that's important. You've seen the same thing with Team Liquid. Their coach was talking about coaching remotely and is now here. Spawn, I think is who it is, was planning on coaching remotely, decided to come and coach in person. And since then, they did better in the second half of the split when he was there. I think it's important to have your coach there. Coaching is like a weird thing in esports.
Yeah. Oh God.
It's like there's a couple coaches out there that are probably really, really, really doing a good job. And then there's a couple coaches out there that are just
Reaper. That's crazy. He always had, and I love Reaper. I met that guy too, but he also lost in the. Keep in mind, Caps in the final G2. It's like, oh goodness gracious, Reaper. Yes, the thing in finals regions doesn't win a lot of finals. Oh God.
Yeah, I think Reaper was great for international because he allowed the players to play what they wanted to play, which is I think is important in international events. When if you can't be as good as the other teams at the meta, playing around what you guys are better at will help you as a team. But if you run into a team who just plays the meta better than you can never play, there's a reason why it's the meta.
Mhm.
You know, when I used to compete, and I competed in the LBLCS and a couple different leagues before I became a caster, and I had a coach who was just
You went and
like,
won like 5 titles, LBC.
no,
You're like, you know what, I'm
I
retiring.
made it to the finals 2 times and lost both times.
Oh, so you're like
I'm a Cloud9 choker too. You know, I've been first seed, like out of the 4 years I played, I think I was first seed every single time, and we always choked in playoffs. But that's besides the point.
Oh my god.
But the thing is, like, I had a coach who played for an academy team before he became a coach, and he was a really good coach. Helped me go from being like, a really bad ADC player to good enough to play in these leagues. You know, I was hard stuck freaking silver for years. So, but just like a couple coaching sessions with him, but the way he would talk about things is like, it's meta for a reason, and meta always beats randomness. But if you're good at randomness and that's what you're really good at, you still can win some games. But the meta is still the meta. And so as long as, you play what's meta, you do what's right, you should win. And so I think that, we're talking about Reaper and how, he struggles in the finals. Sometimes just the meta wins because it's the meta. Right. But when you're trying to surprise the team and maybe catch them off guard, those surprise picks and those weird, playing around the players' choices, APA is one of those who is going to pull out the Ziggs no matter how bad Ziggs is and win some games because of it.
So I know we have the America's Cup coming up, and it's second, third CB LOL and LCS team. So Sentinels is going to be there. No, yeah, the Sentinels will be there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Cloud9 is going to play Furia, and Sentinels is playing, I don't know who else is in the CB LOL. I've watched some streams here and there. It's not that I don't even like watching it. It's just the highlights for them, they don't create enough English highlights at all. Mm-hmm. So, and you have to watch the streams, and it's always like, I'm watching like LCP2. Like at this point, I'm watching almost everything League. I'm watching all this stuff, and I will say this.
Well, hopefully you start watching the Scuttle Draft League too. We'll get you onto some of that, and we can talk about that in a later podcast.
I'm gonna be in there and be like, hey guys, I hate all of you. League sucks. No, just that. That's how you lose all your sponsors.
So you come watch our Gold League and have some fun.
So do you think if Cloud9 win the America's Cup, that would be good to maybe mentally install in their brains, hey, we can do it? Or do you think it would be a false sense of bravado? I think that's like these tournaments where I told people this. The reason why I've never wanted tournaments like that is because the problem here is like, those are technically, I don't even like using this language, but you could argue that doesn't mean anything for those tournaments, only because you just lose in finals. And if you have a tournament after you lose in finals in pretty much a crushing way, whether it's a 5-game series or a 3-1 that Cloud9 went through, that probably isn't the best time to have a tournament right after that. And keep in mind, I like that CSGO can have all these majors like that, and I think League needs more of them. I'm not even disagreeing that we should have more tournaments. It's just like tournaments like that actually don't mean anything because there's no real, how would I say this though? Competition is lower. There's asterisks to maybe how good a team really is and how well they actually are. That's why when they announced that they're going to have that like Korean Chinese tournament before Worlds, it's like, what's that for though? These guys are not even going to be on the same teams next year. Like, imagine losing a finals with that guy and being like, got to go to a tournament with this guy. Fuck no. I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, like, the Kespa Cup, at the beginning of the year, there's always, lots of subs and random players playing because, it's throwaway tournaments. But I was talking to another friend about this, and I was talking about how this might actually be even a bad thing for Cloud9 having to go to this event, maybe detrimental to them, in the sense of they are going to get worse scrims because of it. They don't get to go travel to the first stand and play against all the teams from Korea and China because of it. In the beginning of the year, they said it's first place or fourth place. And second and third is the worst options because you have to go to this other tournament. And that's not the right attitude to have. Obviously, we want, to be able to support Brazil and support other leagues and help them. But for the North American teams, it is more of a detriment to go then it is a positive to go. For Brazilian teams, it's great for them. They get to play against higher level teams, probably get better scrims, and they win. Like if they win or they get something like the furthest going team from Brazil gets their all expense paid to
because you don't get
MSI
extra
or something like that.
Because like if you win America's Cup, I don't know what you meaningfully get because people gotta understand it's different with First Stand and MSI and Worlds. It's like, well, MSI and First Stand, winning those might get your region an extra seed.
Yep.
Or different placement in a tournament. These ones, I don't really know what you could actually offer a team to make it not meaningless. And I don't even like using that, if people know. I don't want to have anybody go to a tournament where it doesn't mean anything. But these are like, what in the world could you possibly offer?
Yeah,
in
like I said, I think it's expenses paid for the Brazilian team to go boot camp in Korea.
Right, you're right.
That's it. But nothing for the American teams.
Yeah, and keep in mind, last year when Cloud9 went to Brazil and they were power ranked to win that split too, they talked about how many issues they had in Brazil. Oh my God, the man Reaper. Oh my God, it was that one video they uploaded. He was just drilling at him. It was like, and then Zen was like, "It's a facility diff," and it's like, oh my God, all the excuses. I just don't like. I hate hearing them. But it's one of those like they had talked about how much they didn't even like going to Brazil last year, as far as how hard it was on travel and jet lag. It's like America's Cup isn't Brazil, like with First Stand, right? Oh my goodness gracious!
That's what I'm saying. I think it's more of a detriment than it is a positive for the teams, and I think that's something that Riot's got to fix going forward. Is I enjoy having the teams that didn't make it still have opportunities to play, and giving them more things to do. And it's sad, if for some reason Cloud9 went out in the first week, to not see them for 3 months at a time, but we got to make it so it's a positive thing for the teams. The teams should want to be like, yeah, I didn't win, but at least I got to do this now, instead of it being a detriment.
Also, what did you think about the other LCS teams? Because as you guys know, it's not the LTA anymore, and thank God.
I'm so glad. The low budget LCS is where I cast for. They have a whole
LTA.
LCS. So they have different tiered leagues, and the top tier league was always like, executive, blah, blah, blah. Well, last year, because they were changed to the LTA, we call ourselves the LCS because there was no LCS anymore. So they just call themselves the top tier league, the LCS league. And now this year, because there's no LTA, they're now the LTA league. I love it.
Thank God, man. That was my biggest thing. Wait. You guys think the reason why the LCS is declining in viewers is because of the name?
Yeah.
That's just like what? It had the worst formats ever.
Yeah.
Those were the worst formats ever. I don't even. You know what's crazy? If you can't figure it out, do what the LCK does, or just do what the NFL does. Straight up BO1s. Remember back in the day, 9 weeks of BO1s and then playoffs. One of those two, because all these different formats, that's what confuses people. One year it's the NFL kind of format. 1 year it's the LCK format. It's like, just keep it the same.
Yeah.
I
like the best of threes. I think they're great, especially now that we have Fearless. Like, that is huge, I think, for the leagues. Fearless Draft is the best thing that's happened to the leagues I cast. Also, any of the professional leagues, like, it's great for the game. It adds so much more to the game than it did in the past. So that is super awesome. I hated seeing the same matchups 3 times in the same series. Like, that's, boring. I'm so glad that we have things changing and these more fun picks getting picked all the time. But yeah, we have to get something locked down. We have to keep it going on. I wish that they, we talked about adding 10 teams. I wish they had something like a Friday night thing again. I know they tried it and didn't do great, but like
Monday night thing too. Remember
Monday
that?
night, something else to really focus on a game and have more fun around it. They used to do stuff after the games with the players on those Monday night streams that were super fun to watch.
I thought that was kind of cool.
They did. They also did some like fun beer pong stuff. They were doing really fun little
Bud
things.
Ace.
Yeah, the Bud Light Ace. Yeah, they did a whole bunch of fun little things after the games. And that's the stuff we need to build those relationships with the players. Now, that was during the time when it felt like every single year was a whole 5 new team players on every single team almost. But I think maybe we've settled down a little bit on that. We're keeping a lot of players for a little bit longer than we were in the past. Let's now try to build those players up, do more stuff, do more content. They've been killing it this year, I think, with like the TikToks. I've been watching a lot of their stuff has been a lot better than years past, but we got to continue to do stuff like that. I mean, it's the only way to keep the thing going is to build around the players.
Oh, true. And the other thing, a few of the things I asked before we head out is the other region you watch, LEC. Have you been keeping up with that as much as the LCS? Okay, so
not as much. I mean, I don't watch. I mean, I watch the Cloud9 religiously, and then all the other LCS teams as I'm waiting for the Cloud9 games. But
sadly, oh my god, I will say this: people do have to understand the actual LCS quality, in my opinion, used to be a little bit better. It was never great. It used to be somewhat decent. I feel like the quality in the LCS has dipped beyond
like production wise,
no,
or
actually, production wise got better in my opinion.
Okay, that's what I was
like,
gonna say.
I feel like game quality wise, I feel like we've been going through this every year for the last like 3 years. There's just one or two teams, they're the best, and they're and then like one team will beat that second team, and then it's just like the rest. Like just this past split, I know people were excited a little bit to have the LCS back, and I was too. I'm fine to have it back, but it outside of like because like you said earlier, expectations from what we saw last week compared to now, this whole split was a runaway for Cloud9. Like outside of Cloud9 when they played, those games were not good. Those games were bad. Like when Sharp Rebellion played, I was like, please hang me. I need to go and jump out a roof when they play. Like I feel like LCS quality games have really dipped. Like last year, there's a reason why FlyQuest and Cloud9 were the best teams. And then what's sad is Cloud9 imploded summer. It just imploded in summer. Yeah. Or the year before that, when we had Immortals, that was an awful year. I feel like the production was great. The production for the LCS is way better than what it used to be. It's amazing now. I think it's really good. But the game quality, there has to be like another X factor. It can't just always be two teams. Like I mentioned earlier, back then it was like TSM and CLG and then Team Liquid and then Cloud9 and then randomly 100 Thieves came in at some point, There needs to be a few other teams to pick up the slack because some of these like Team Liquid, why are they importing Morgan? He was never good, ever. Morgan was never good, guys, ever. That Lord Morgan meme is a meme. He's bad. They're making fun of that guy. And I don't know. I would like it if Team Liquid were to pick up the slack and be a good team again. It would be great for it to happen. Or Sentinels. It can't just be Cloud9 or insert whoever that time period carrying the league too.
I mean, I think maybe sometimes we look back in the old days and think it was better than it was. There's a lot of really bad teams back in the day too. Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of dominance for teams. I mean, Team Liquid, that 4P, I mean, they were pretty dominant those 4 years.
Right. Yeah.
We've had a couple of different Cloud9 iterations where they didn't drop single games all the way through.
That's probably the last dominant, mega dominant LCS roster. What was it? They dropped one game in the regular season, and then one single game in the playoffs. Yeah, that has to be the most dominating one. It has to be.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, they could have went 18-0 split.
We were so close.
I don't know why he drafted Chen.
That game 2, they had Soul, Dragon Soul, and the Procom. Like if they would have won that game and it was 2-0, I think they would have just finished Lion. It would have been done. But they tried to troll the rest of that game, and we could have had a perfect playoff bracket and one singular game lost. Not even a series, one singular game the whole season.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be 9-0, honestly. I thought whoever met them in the finals, I honestly thought it was just going to be them winning it because they were so dominant throughout the entirety of the split. It wasn't even like, it wasn't like when they had the 2020 roster. It wasn't that dominant, but it was dominant enough to the point where it's like, are any of these guys really that much good? Because guys, if Sentinels had made it there,
I was scared. The most team I was the most scared of was Lion. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
If it was anyone else, I was 100% confident Cloud9 was gonna 3-0 them. Lion was the one team I was like, they do scare me.
All right, and before we head out, we'll get predictions like we always do. Hopefully, we come on next week and we talk some of the games from the America's Cup. All right, here we go. Here's the predictions, guys. C9 versus Furia and Red Candidates versus Sentinels. Those are the matchups.
Definitely gonna be C9, and I would love to vote for Sentinels. I like them. They've been doing a lot of stuff with the Valorant scene, but I would like to see Brazil show up. I mean, last time we played against them, they showed up and actually had a team that did pretty well.
Right, yeah. But before
So
that, remember in winter where we almost had a perfect record against all their teams?
yeah,
And Liquid had to drop that one, you becking bastards. America's Cup, because I want to make sure. Yeah, it's called the America's Cup. Oh god. Well, and to be fair, I want you guys to understand. You guys better show up and watch this. All of you were begging for this last year when on Cheap Esports it was revealed that the LCK and LPL teams would get one of these tournaments where you can see the teams that don't make it. You know, you better show up and watch this.
Yeah.
I hate when people do that. They ask for something, beg for it, year in and year out. You finally get it, and then you don't watch. Please watch this. I don't even care if there's nothing on the line. Just you ask for it. Why would you ask for something and not watch it? I don't even understand that mindset. You know.
I'll be there. I'll be rooting for Cloud9, and I'll be really mad if they lose.
No bias there. No bias at all in that.
Yeah, no bias at all.
Not biased at all. Not even close. Is this double elimination? I think.
I am not sure of the rules of it.
So it's 4 teams participate, second and third, double elimination bracket. Upper bracket round 1 is a best of 3. All other matches are a best of 5.
Okay. So no, I get at least 3 series. So that's pretty cool.
What if Cloud9 get to the end and then get
if they lose again
in the same fashion?
Finals, that's like, oh no! It might be. They may need to make a roster change just purely for the fact of the need to change something else. Like,
imagine. There's no way that happens again, right? There's no.
I just don't know what they do. If that happens, what do they do? Like, I don't think they can find a jungler today that's going to be able to be better than Blabber. ADC wise, Sven is just too consistent of an ADC to be replaced that easily. Thanatos, regular season, it just looks too dominant. I mean, he's not done great in the finals and the games that's mattered, but everywhere else he looks too good to not have him. Like, you feel like you have to be able to eventually get over that hump. And then APA is just too new to be like getting rid of APA, and Vulcan is too good.
I will also say that I have caught some of the CBLOL games. The issue with some of their teams is a lot of them tend to be, you say low budget LCS. It's pretty bad. It's pretty much about there. They're like on the level of like NACL Academy teams. You know, like if I wouldn't even trust when they're ahead. Do you remember last year when Pain Gaming was ahead against 100 Thieves and their ADC Valkyrie on Corki into 5 people and killed? That still happens. That they will always do that, no matter any time of the year. Split random Brazilian teams are winning a game until they're not. They're just gonna throw it. Their teams still have that problem. The issue here is it's in theory Cloud9 Sentinels finals. It should be, because if Sentinels also bombs out of the tournament, bro, what are we even doing? LCS might be. I'm not saying doomed, but that's a very bad look if Sentinels bomb out.
Agreed.
I don't know.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see, if it's even close, what it looks like. Like, are we gonna have, if it is just they don't even take a single game? It starts tomorrow.
Yeah, it starts on the 4th. The 4th.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. Thursday. I thought it was Thursday.
Yeah, so it's gonna start on the 4th. So hey, I'll be watching. 16 hours. Oh God, March 4th, 1 p.m. All right. So yeah. Anything else you want to say before we head out? Actually, anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to let people know about?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the Scuttle Crab Draft League, the High Alert team. That's the org that I cast for, and then the low budget LCS. If you guys love League, and I mean, obviously you do if you're sitting here watching this podcast, we have a fun rec league that we get to play in every single year. There's all the way from like gold and below all the way to challenger leagues. You can fit somewhere in there, come join. It's a lot of fun. Come watch. it's a blast to watch some gold games, man. I'm gonna tell you that. Like, organized gold teams are so fun to watch.
They're always on Reddit being like, man, if I was in the LCS, I would do that. And it's
and
like, no, you wouldn't.
it's so fun. It is as a blast. If you've never have been a part of it, it is so fun because everyone just, everyone's practicing, playing their hearts out. We do interviews. There's always teams talking smack. There's a whole bunch of lore that you'll get to learn. It's lots of fun. Come join us, and hopefully I'll be on here again sometime.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come back next week. We're gonna go over these Cloud9 games, whether they break our heart or
I know.
Man, I'm not predicting this. What if the world Cloud9 and Sentinels are in the lower bracket together?
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
I think honestly, if Cloud9 takes it seriously, their goal should be to not drop a single game.
Yeah,
it should be like legitimately. If we drop a single game, it's a failure to us.
It should be. Yeah. Because, like, it's one of these things where, hey, if you want to get in the right headset to face Lion again domestically, you're going to have to at least work on what is not clicking with, like, I like Blabber too, but there's got to be a sit-in being like, hey, man, are we not doing something? Are you not like, we got to have this serious conversation. Like I said, after the tournament, because, having that might tilt him even further. Because Bro just looked at you about to straight up cry on stage after they lost.
Yeah.
Heartbreak. Yeah, I hope people, hey, that's what happens when you're at this high competition. So when you say things don't matter, say things don't matter to Dom after a game. He might actually beat you up.
Yeah.
In Minecraft, allegedly. Oh, gosh. But thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Cloud9 podcast. It was great talking with Dot for the first time, and we'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend, everybody.